All right, is college worth it? Now, this is one of those questions where if you ask 10 different people, you'd probably get 10 different explanations. Now, given the amount of time and money that's required to really complete your degree, would you say that college is actually worth it? Now, I'm going to start this video off by saying student loans are terrible. When you're in high school, you're basically asked to go thousands of dollars into debt before your 18th birthday. Sometimes it takes people years and even decades to pay off those loans, especially if you're not really informed on how to pay off those loans. And there's no guarantee that once you graduate from college that you'll be able to make enough money to actually pay off those loans. But again, these are things that may not be mentioned to someone who's actually applying for college. But the good thing is there's actually alternatives to student loans. Now for the cost, there's no denying that college is expensive. And that can be with or without financial aid. But just like everything else, you have to ask yourself, is it really worth the investment? Now there's two sides of it. When you look at the long term, maybe it's worth it. But another factor here is what you actually decide to major in. If you're going to school to become a doctor or a lawyer, of course you need to go to college. And if you're going to school to become an engineer, of course you need to go to college. The beauty of college is that you actually get to choose what you want to major in. It's not like high school where certain courses are forced on you. You do have some say. You do get to pick what classes you want to take. You even get to choose what professors you want to have your courses in. You get to choose what time of the day you want to have your courses in. Now, sometimes people choose difficult majors just because of the long-term money that they can possibly make off that. And then on the other hand, you have people who choose majors because they're actually interested in that material. Now, there's nothing wrong with choosing a hard major, but the reality is sometimes college can be stressful, and the workload for certain individuals can be a lot. And the good thing about college is that you have access to professors. Now, these are professors who hopefully have some sort of expertise in the field that you're trying to get into. And even in attending a large university, you can still establish some sort of one-on-one connection with your professors. Now, this isn't something you can really do if you're not a student at this university. Good thing about college is that you can network with people your age. Being surrounded by so many like-minded individuals, people with similar goals as you, those are friendships that can last a lifetime. And having friends in college that major in something else other than you can help you in the long term. Like if you're a journalism major and one of your friends is an accounting major and you need help with taxes, maybe that's someone you kind of lean on for help. But again, these are bonds that can be built in college and obviously last forever. The cost of college might be high, but you can't put a price tag on memories. Now, I'm not saying you should go just for the memories, but college is like the one time in life where you really have an actual excuse, I'll say. I personally wouldn't trade my college memories for anything in the world. You can always make money at some point in your life, regardless of your age. But you can't relive your years of college ranging from like 17 to let's say 22. Now, are there ways to make money outside of college? Absolutely. I mean, you could be an entrepreneur, open up your own business, be a barber, be a mechanic. These are things that don't necessarily require an actual college degree. But the idea of picking up a trade in itself is slept on and honestly deserves a little bit more respect. And I'm just going to come out and say it. College isn't for everyone. Having a plan is the most important part of it all, regardless of whatever route someone wants to take. You shouldn't be going to college just because it's the popular thing to do. Like, we're all good at something, and sometimes college really isn't the best fit for everyone. You do not have to go to college. The only thing that you have to do in this world is pay taxes and die. And even that first part can be debatable depending on who you ask. Now, community college is always an option. The tuition is usually cheaper, and because it's local, you'd probably be staying home anyway. But just as a reminder, there's nothing wrong with paying for education. And to the people that say that you shouldn't go, it's not that you shouldn't go, it's just that you should have a plan more than anything. Now, whatever four-year university you decide to go to will hopefully allow you to kind of build your network and build your connections. Now, reputations can be very important when you're trying to decide which college you want to go to. Simply telling someone, hey, I went to this university, can open a door for you. And that's not something you can really get if you don't go to college. But I mean, on the flip side, if you have your own business and you're not in school, that's still something that you can talk about as well that'll open doors for you. But college is so much more than what you learn on the inside of the classroom. And one can even argue what you learn outside the classroom is even more important. Now, don't underestimate the power of learning through experience. Now, when you're in college, you can always get internships. Now, sometimes employers and employees are more willing to help interns simply just because of the fact that you're still in school. Now, you can always get internships when you're not in college, of course, but you definitely have more access to them and you'll hear more about them if you're in college. Now, dealing with college, you got to look at the bigger picture. Are you willing to make that short-term sacrifice for that long-term success? It may cost a lot now in your earlier years, but maybe the you 30 years from now will actually thank you for making that decision. And people say stuff like a bachelor's degree is just like a high school diploma nowadays. Well, that's not true. You know what a bachelor's degree is like? A bachelor's degree. Now, there's a huge difference between out-of-state tuition and in-state tuition. Now, a lot of folks are always interested in leaving the state when they're first going to college. but you end up saving a lot of money if you decide to stay in school in state. But either way, it's good exposure, whether you decide to stay in state or leave the state. College is like the one time in your life where you have everything at your fingertips. You got professors, you have dining halls, you have libraries, you have your friends, okay, all within walking distance. Now we know college can be expensive, but you know what? So is time. Are those 4 years something that you're really willing to give up? And a newsflash for everyone, you can always apply for scholarships. Now scholarships and grants and work studies make things a lot easier when you're in college. And even after college, those scholarships that you apply for as a teenager will definitely come in handy later on. As a matter of fact, I want you to ask your friends that may have graduated from college if they applied for scholarships. And if they say yes, ask them which ones they applied for. And if they say no, ask them if they wish they had. You see, scholarships as a high school student is like the one time in life where you're really given free money without the expectation of really having to give it back. And so because of that, people really need to take advantage of that. College forces you to learn about other things and broaden your horizons. Because regardless of where you grew up in life, in the real world and the job world, there are people from all different types of backgrounds. And college really prepares you for that. And at the end of the day, let's not even beat around the bush. College is fun, okay? Now we can talk time, money, and education all day long, but you will never again in your entire life be given 4 years to practically do whatever you want, in a professional way, of course. Like really think about that. Once you graduate from college, that's where the responsibilities really start to hit. I know people like to say your life really starts after high school, but college in itself, is a whole different beast. Now, what happens if you don't graduate from college? Because that's always a possibility. It sucks, but some people really have to face that reality. Imagine putting your time and your money in and then unfortunately not graduating for whatever reason. Now, to be clear, people have different reasons as to why they don't finish. But without the proper guidance, college can be tough for any individual. Regardless of your age, income, or ethnicity, you can always go back to college. And if you're the type to always be busy or if you want to stay at home, you can always take online classes. Now, you hear a lot about successful people that have actually dropped out of college. That's because just like everything else in life, college is a risk. The bigger issue between college or no college is just the simple idea of having a plan, having your own plan. If I were talking to a high school junior or senior, I wouldn't force the idea of college on them, but instead provide the pros and the cons. All right, it's a two-way street when we're talking about going to college. You can always cut costs while you're in college. You can commute. You don't have to live on campus. You can start a side hustle, be a tutor, not go out as much, split money on textbooks. Another part about the finances in college, most college students aren't walking around with a bunch of money in their pockets. So you might feel like, hey, it is what it is. Now there's options other than attending a 4-year university. We mentioned community college, and we also mentioned the idea of picking up a trade. The whole point of college is to really use that time to launch your career. At the end of the day, you're the one spending your time and your money into it. So yes, it's cool to have fun in college, but you also want to make sure you get the job done while you're there. Because if you don't finish or you don't end up taking it seriously, the only time you're wasting is your own. Professors get paid regardless. You don't want to get to your senior year of college and ask yourself, now what? And when you graduate at like the age of 21 or 22, you really have your whole life ahead of you. Now, did you have to sacrifice 4 years? Sure. Did you have to sacrifice thousands of dollars? Sure. But were you a better person because of it? Who knows? But you got to ask yourself, what would my life have been like if I didn't go to college? It's easy for people to say that they don't support the idea of college because of the money that it costs. But when you think about how it develops you as a person and your character, something to think about. In high school, it does not always prepare you for the real world the way college does. College teaches you accountability and responsibility. You can't really be too lazy in college and just taking courses seriously, because there's things in college that you'll learn that you'll need on a day-to-day basis. Now, even though student loans may feel crippling, for most people in college, it helped them get to where they are now. And when you're in college, the ability to network with alumni can definitely help. Like when you're in college, you should never really feel like you're alone because you always have some sort of network and alum to reach out to. But on the flip side, if you were someone who didn't go to college, you could always network with other people in your field, whether it be through social media, in-person, workshops, conferences, and you just got to make sure that when you're in school, you really are using all of your resources because at the end of the day, you are the one spending your money on it, so you might as well get your money's worth. Now, to the folks that think that college is a scam, I think that's a really heavy word to use. At the end of the day, it all comes down to what you get out of it, the good and the bad. Not everyone has that entrepreneur type mindset. So again, are there ways to make money without college and without a bachelor's degree? Absolutely. But can it be tough for some people that may not have that entrepreneur type mindset? Absolutely. Having that bachelor's degree is sometimes a prerequisite for certain jobs. But college is what you make of it. There's no better time to create relationships and network. And when you really think about it, you're being asked at the age of like 17 or 18 what you want to do with the rest of your life. Now that's a lot of pressure, but that's why I feel guidance and mentorship are extremely important through this entire process. And also, imagine getting your degree in a field that you don't even end up working in. So that's the area where most people might feel like that degree was a waste of time and money. But overall, is college worth it? Some will say yes, some will say no, and some will say it depends. But when it's all said and done, you just gotta have a plan. So as always, I hope this video helped. I'll see y'all in the next video. Y'all stay blessed.